What's up, y'all? It's Mike Wilk, aka Silk Wilk, aka Greatness, aka the Michael Wilkerson. I'm back with another episode of Testimonies and Truths. That's Testimonies and Truths, Truths. I ain't gonna front, I got a little bit of a lisp, so it sounds like I'm saying truce, but I'm saying truth. Bear with me. I appreciate y'all tuning in and sticking with me for another episode. If you're a first-time listener, this is once again a podcast that's focused on telling the testimonies of life and the truth of life, of being honest and transparent and having fun in between. This episode is truly focused on the fact that quarantine has made us flat out ignorant. I said it, ignorant, not ignorant, ignorant, which means you are a level beyond ignorant, because some ignorant can be resolved by education, but ignorant means you're doing it on purpose. And so quarantine has made, I won't say all of us, but I will definitely say there's a good segment of our population, of just the world, whether it's the United States, just the world, a good segment of our population that has become just plain ignorant, and they do not want to change. They decided, I am who I am. I don't want to grow. I don't want to better myself. I don't want to be a decent human. You know what I mean? Like, I understand being yourself and being true to who you are. It's another thing when you understand that you have gaps and falsehoods that stop you from being a productive or supportive citizen on this earth. So that's the base of the truth. This episode is that we're going to focus on the truth more than the testimonies. But how did I get to this? Is really, we're going to talk a little bit more about the NBA. So the National Basketball Association helped me get to this understanding and this truth for this episode of how fans have been responding to athletes lately. But we'll get to that. So I'll kind of back up and tell you a little bit how my brain processed this overall concept. And when you think about COVID, so we've all gone through COVID, experienced COVID-19. And due to COVID-19, we've all had some semblance of quarantine or something similar to it. Even the countries and the states and the cities that did not go into full quarantine effect, there was some semblance of it, right? So prior to COVID, so prior to March 2020, the country was already, and I'm talking about the U.S., the United States was already dealing with a lot of different issues. We were like breaking apart at the seams. You could feel something was coming. Because prior to COVID, for number one, the United States was dealing with a lot of racial tension. It was building. You had, for example, Breonna Taylor, and this is all the recent months, right? Before COVID, you had Breonna Taylor, who was shot and killed by police who were serving a warrant, and they went to the wrong home, and they shot and killed Breonna Taylor in the wrong home of a warrant being served. You had Elijah McClain, who was killed at the hands of police. You had Mr. I believe it's Ahmed, who was killed by the hands of his neighbors who saw him running in the neighborhood and decided he don't belong here. Let's hunt him down and kill him. That's what we doing. You had a man who was gunned down and killed in his own home because a police officer thought she had a intruder in her home when she realized she actually broke into the wrong house. So you had so many instances, and this is all within like 6 months before COVID. This isn't like the year of time of different things happening and police gunning people down. This is all within 6 months before COVID. So it was breaking at the seams of black people feeling like not only can we not trust the police who are killing us over whether it's a minor ticketing issue or just wrong, like I said, wrong place, wrong time, whether it's, accidental shooting, whether it's, I thought he had a gun. It was getting out of hand. And what's the thing that brings it to me is I was driving down the road. For example, I remember during that period, I was driving on the road and I saw a sign and it said geese crossing or geese crossing, right? And it said if you hit or kill a goose, you get fined $350. It's $350 to $500. And the first thing I thought as a black man was, you mean to tell me I can hit a bird and get a $500 fine, but if a police officer think I have a gun and shoot me dead, they're just called an accident or a bad apple. That's it. There's no repercussions. I remember specifically thinking that during this pre-COVID period. So once again, for black people in this country, in the United States, it was just, we were at odds with the country. We were at odds with our own neighbors that brings us to the next point of tension, which is going through political tension. So as black people, you have our president at the time who was spitting a lot of racial rhetoric. You had neighbors and co-workers who were just really, all in on it and letting people know, I'm a Trump supporter and I'm all about the United States of America. And if you're not about it, you can get on out this country. And I'm like, wait, so I can leave because I don't agree with some of the things that this country is saying. Yeah, when I say Black Lives Matter, you don't agree, you get to stay. Wait a minute. And isn't it the European colonizers that came to this country because they didn't like what was going on in the country? So if you don't like what people are saying, anyway, we're not going to go there. So the point is, there was racial tension that was building. Now, and we all know, whether you are a Trump supporter or not, and would probably agree that this is probably the most polarizing president in history. See, many people will say he was the most racist president in history. I'm not ready to go that far, only because in the United States there were 17 presidents before a president finally said, you know what, slavery ain't right. Let's figure out how to get this thing under control. 17 presidents they cool with slavery. And truth be told, Lincoln, it's not that he hated slavery, but he saw the end goal of the country, right? So you had 17 presidents who who didn't say nothing about slavery. They was like, this is for the good of the people. So I won't say that Trump was the most racist president, especially since even after the quote unquote freeing of the slaves, which really did happen just 3 years later, which then you had civil rights. Not even that yet, Jim Crow laws that were put in place. You had to go through the civil rights. So there was tons of things that were put in place that many presidents didn't step in and change. So I can't say he's the most racist, but definitely I would say he's up there as far as polarizing, where you had black people, white people, no matter what race you were, whether even, religious belief, no matter what it was, you were divided at some point due to Trump. So you had just this big political tension going on. You were in the middle of a presidential race, and that was pulling the country apart at the seams also. So now you have black and white people at odds. You have political tension at odds. Mind you, there was a little, hint of, Asian hate. You had women who were trying to show that, we are valued and we should be, believed, and we should be valued and as more than what we are. So you had, things going on with gender. You had the LGBTQ who felt like they weren't getting rights. It was just a lot. And on top of all that, from my personal insights, Kobe Bryant passed away. So everybody, even sports fans, was just in mourning. So the country was just fragile. This is all pre-COVID. So then COVID comes. What happens? Everyone gets locked down. You get stuck in your homes, which means you are now taken away from many of the things that forced you to have any type of any type of civilized behavior or just human decency. So now you're removed from coworkers, classmates. You got to stay away from your own neighbors, and just heck, even strangers in the store. You can't talk to anybody. You got to stay away from everyone, and you're only locked down with those people who are in your home who honestly do what? Majority of them, they think like you, they act like you, they have the same views as you. So you're not around coworkers who, whether it's political or race or whatever, or orientation, you have to at least be understanding of their plight, or you have to at least tolerate it. You don't have to deal with that. You don't have to be around your neighbors who, whether they have different political views or whatever it is, you at least have to give the casual hello. You are stripped from all of that, and you're stuck with only people who think like you. So imagine for over 12 months, most of the country and most of the world had very limited self-growth. Because I know personally, when I'm around people who don't think like me, I don't look at it as a way to shun people. I look at it as a way to grow. I look at it as a way to open my mind because of different experiences that I've been through. And I've seen how being around people who do not think like me helps to stretch me. Heck, you can Google it and research it yourself. Many of the top companies of this country have, whether it's board or executive leadership, that are diverse. The more diverse the company, typically the more transcendent the company becomes. Granted, there's usually a white man at the helm, but you get what I'm going at, right? So many people were stripped from any growth. And if you decided to go through all that time without growth, that's on you, but we'll get there. So like I said, you go 12 months without growth around people who only think like you, and you don't have to have any human decency out in this world. And there's no consequence. Many of us went to social media and we had Twitter fingers, and we was out here getting ready for the election. We were saying what we want to say. Many people were slandering people's names and talking at celebrities and just getting buck wild because there was no consequence. Your neighbors couldn't even come holler at you and put them hands on you because you ain't trying to get COVID. You ain't trying to die. You know what I mean? You can cut somebody out on your lawn and they too scared to come over and put them hands on you. For most places, I won't say all, right? So that brings us to 2021, where from COVID, you had George Floyd, which had the country as a hotbed as far as racial tension. You had NBA players and NFL players who majority are African-American, majority of those leagues are African-American, black people were saying, yo, this country's racist, it's been racist, heck, these sports leagues are racist, but y'all think just because we make money that solves it. That don't really solve it. We still feel it, and we have to, speak up and be honest. And the first thing people love to say is, well, they're millionaires. It doesn't affect them. Yes, it do. They still black. You still hate their black skin. You might root for the Redskins, but you hate their black skin. Let's be honest. You love to see LeBron dunk, but the moment he say, y'all treating black people wrong, all this N-word, he ain't nothing. Y'all want to hear that. Y'all want to hear that. So you go through that. You go through Trump. You go through people, trying to take down the Capitol building and getting exonerated for it. But yeah, you have a Black Lives Matter protest, and the world is, and the country's in disbelief. So you go through all that, and then you come to 2021, where fans are now allowed to be back in the stands and root on their teams. But remember what I said. They've had no personal growth. They haven't had to be decent citizens. Which leads you to what? You have Philadelphia. Russell Westbrook is leaving the arena with the injury. Fan dumps popcorn on his head. And you know good and well, this is why I love Russell Westbrook. Just his attitude. His play as a player, NBA player, drives me nuts. But as a player, the first thing he said after the game, he said, y'all wouldn't do that to me if you see me in the streets. I know you would. And you can't say you would. Russell Westbrook is 6'4" with muscles on his eyeballs. There's no way you throwing popcorn on this man. There's no way you cussing in this man's face. There's no way you giving him a finger. There's no way you calling him an N-word. You ain't doing it. Why? Because you know what the consequence is. So you make yourself have a human decency. But because you haven't had to be around people, you feel like, I'm going to throw this popcorn. What are you going to do? He going to put them hands on you. You going to jail. Then you take us to, I guess also in Philadelphia. Philadelphia's wilding out. You had players run. You had a man run onto the court to get attention. Why? What we've been doing the last 12 months, trying to get attention. Nobody's been around you. You've been by yourself. You've been isolated. You need attention. You go to Utah, where Ja Morant's family is sitting in the stands. And what happens? People are in the stands cussing at his mother and father, calling his mother a black bee, calling his mom and dad N-words and cussing them out. And I get you don't like him as a player. He's a visiting player. He's busting your tail, giving you 25 points a game. Then go at him, call him names, be mad at him, but don't cross a line. Why you gotta go racial? Cause he beating your tail. That shows you who you are and what you believe. There's no need for that. And why are you doing it? Once again, you have no human decency. You're not doing it to nobody's face. And you talking about his mama? She ain't got nothing to do with this. Don't nobody come to your McDonald's and talk about your mama while you working, huh? Don't nobody come to your house while you on unemployment and talk about your mama while you live in her basement, huh? Exactly. Don't nobody do that to you. But here you go, because they millionaires. Oh, they should be able to take it. Let me tell you something. I'm not taking crap. Then you go all the way to New York. And one of the most disrespectful, you have a fan who tried to spit on Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. Let me tell you, spitting on someone is the most disrespectful thing you can do to anyone. And luckily, it just missed Trae Young. The fans spit at him. Trae Young decided not to press charges. Let me tell you, I would have pressed charges. Not only would I press charges, I'd have been petty and made sure I seen it through. I'd have had your name in the paper. I'd have, like I said, pressed them charges. I'd have been at every court hearing, and just to get you in jail. Most people say that's a waste of money. No, it ain't. I'm proving a point. And I'm the pettiest of petty. I'm gonna prove a point. I want you to get the max sentence if you spit on me, just to prove that if you do something to me, you have to have consequences. And that's why I said that we have become ignorant in quarantine, because it's like we forget that there's real consequence. And now we feel like we can do anything and everything we want to do because we just simply can. Or because, somebody got money. It don't really matter how they feel. It don't really matter what they think. And I get it. You got millions. You have tough skin. My son and I had a debate when they were talking about, the fans cussed at John Morant, called his mom the N-word. My son said, man, they did that to my mom. I'm jumping in the stands. I said, nah, I'm not jumping in the stand. I got millions. I'm going to have security arrest you. I'm going to send my mama on a nice trip and say, I love you, mama. Don't worry about that. I'm going to buy you a new diamond necklace or something. Because I got millions. I'm not about to let you mess up my money. Oh, but you about to feel all this repercussion. Oh, yes. I'm going to make sure you get banned from the arena. I'm going to put your name out in public. Oh, you going through it. You going through it. Get you fired from your job. Whatever it takes for you to understand what it is. That's just like, as a country, we have to start understanding that not only do things have consequences, but we have to get to a point of just human decency. Human decency. That's all we have to get to an understanding of, is that, look, white, black, Jewish, Christian, whatever you may be, I have enough human decency in my soul and spirit to just let you be. I tell people all the time, like, you want to be racist? I don't give a crap. You can be racist. Just leave me alone. You can be racist over in your own corner. Leave me alone. That's it. People keep saying, if you can have enough nerve to tell me protest my own way, then be racist in a way that pleases me. Then that's what drives me crazy. But if you want to be racist, if you want to be ignorant, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like, just have human decency. What does being racist have to do with you just being quiet and letting things be? You want to be racist, but what they got to do with me winning? I'm doing good, so you got to tear me down? Come on. What happened to good old fashioned racism? No. But that's, I said, we just got ignorant, whether it's racism or just treating people with dignity. Spitting on somebody, come on, because they're beating you in a basketball game and you're not even on the team. Come on. You lost all decency and you forgot what your life is. What happened? First of all, the Knicks weren't gonna win. Let's be honest. Second of all, even if they did win the championship, they're not about to give you a ring. They're not about to give you no money. You gonna get a moment of happiness and go back to your busted life. Like, what are you doing? We got to get back to understanding who we are what we are. And as the country opens up and the world opens up, use this time to grow, because many of you have not had personal growth in over a year. Get around different people. Understand. Heck, listen to podcasts. Watch a video that you normally wouldn't watch. Do something different. Watch a movie that you normally wouldn't watch, just so you can learn and be around other stuff. And that's the truth from this podcast. It's just, you have to grow as a person. And if you learn nothing from quarantine, you should have learned that there's something about you that either needs to change or you can grow. If there's nothing else you got out of quarantine, is that you can always grow as a person. So that's the truth of the testimonies and truth. Your testimony, for me, my testimony is I did grow. And through quarantine, I learned that, look, I need to be around people. Without people, I start to have self-doubt. I start to second guess. I start to look at myself differently. But people help me stay energized, and I need outlets. So that's why I created this podcast. That's why I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Mike Wilk, or the Mike Wilk, THE Mike MIKE Wilk, WILK. I'm on social media more just to have my personality out there, engage with more people, and get different, understanding and different viewpoints of the things that I'm thinking. That's the whole reason of me doing this podcast and other avenues, is to stretch my mind and to think differently. And I'm very grateful to God that He gave me a vision and opportunity, and we have so much technology that we can be different and we can put ourselves in different opportunities and different spaces to express ourselves. So I'm very happy for that, and that's my testimony to you. And I will leave you with the parting words that I always do. Hopefully you learned something from this podcast, and you tune in for the next. And in the meantime, be blessed, because you are, and you always will be. And be a blessing, because you can. You can be a blessing to someone. So be blessed because you are. Be a blessing because you can be. Until the next time, it's your boy, the Mike Wilk. I'm out.